really his to blame. His orders come from far away no more. They come from him and you and me. And brothers, can't you see? This is not the way we put an end to war.
Buffy Sainte-Marie is a Piapot Cree Nation Indigenous American/Canadian who is a singer-songwriter, musician, composer, visual artist, educator, pacifist, and social activist. She is keen to educate about Indigenous Americans. So her career pretty much started in the 60s when she was in her 20s, and she started doing gigs with just her and her guitar and did some extensive touring by the sound of it. And she gained a good reputation for herself. She claims that in the 70s she was blacklisted by US radio, and particularly that this was led by some of the presidents at the time, presumably to suppress the messages that she had about Indigenous Americans. She started to appear on Sesame Street and had a relationship with them for a while, and including showing her breastfeeding her child, and which may be the first representation of breastfeeding ever on TV, apparently. Into the 80s and the 90s, she started to use computers in her music. She co-wrote the song Up Where We Belong, which was a huge hit and was the theme song from the film An Officer and a Gentleman. And then moving into the new millennium, she is now very well regarded. Her songs have been covered by many people, and she has had a lot of honours given to her. Her 17th studio album was released in 2017. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was Buffy Sainte-Marie's first album, and it's my first encounter with her. I have heard her name before, but I didn't actually know anything about her. I don't think I've heard any of her songs before. Although it's possible that I've heard Universal Soldier covered by somebody else. And mostly it's just her and her guitar. There are a couple of songs with other things in. There's a Jaws harp in one track. There's a bass in one track, an acoustic bass. But mostly it's just her and a guitar and singing. And she has quite a versatile voice, so she uses kind of different tones depending on the nature of the song that she's singing, and tailors it that way, which is good. One of her characteristics is a tight tremolo. Let's see if I can do an impression of it like that when she's actually singing, of course, obviously. It's definitely folk music. It was, I would say, kind of crosses over into what I think of as being more European folk quite a lot of the time rather than American folk, which I think it was more kind of Americana and similar to kind of early, the roots of country and bluegrass and things like that, and blues. Some of it actually sounds like they're quite old songs because they seem to be story songs set in older times. But most of them are actually written by her. There are three exceptions on here. There's a song called Ananias, which she has adapted from a spiritual. There's a song called Cripple Creek that I think I've heard of before, which is a folk song. And there's a song, You're Gonna Need Somebody on Your Bond, which is a blues song, which I also may have heard elsewhere. Some of them, one in particular is about what things that are happening with the indigenous American population, which is about buffaloes. Mostly of them are about bad relationships in some way. There seems to be a minor obsession with babies and women being pregnant. Kind of the classic thing. The woman's got the baby and the man's off doing, whatever he pleases. Except there's one that's kind of the opposite, which is the man's left rocking the cradle whilst the woman goes off as she pleases, which is, a refreshing change. She's got a song Codine on here, which is about what I would we would now call codeine in Britain. She had a time when she had a medical need for some painkillers, but ended up with a codeine dependency as a result. So it's a song about that. There's a song called the Incest Song, which is quite curious and odd, but yeah, is decent songwriting. There's a song called Mayu Sto Hoon. I have no idea what language it's in. It might be an indigenous language, but it sounded to me like Japanese. That could be right. There's a song called It's My Way about living how she wants. It's a bit like Ain't No Business But My Own. She's a versatile singer, I would say. The songwriting is really good. I very much rate it. I was actually quite surprised to find that most of the songs were not traditional folk songs. I think she's really kind of captured the essence of a lot of traditional folk with this. So I felt that there was quite a bit here to respect and to enjoy. So I liked it. I'd love to know what you think. So please talk to me through the comments box. And that's it from me for now.
And my belly's craving, I got a shaking in my head. Feel like I'm dying and wish I was dead. If I live till tomorrow, then